With the 2021 season rapidly approaching, I thought there was no better time than any to take a look at a select few players that need to be better. Players that for various reasons have struggled statistically to produce. Some may be fighting to stay on their current team, while others are probably going to be fighting to remain in the league entirely. And with that, here are 4 players that will be looking for redemption come next season. After showing much promise during his BC days, Johnny Hockey looked like a steal for the Flames, coming out of the 4th round. Regardless, as the years have passed, the forward has proven to be one of the team's best in season and among the least productive when it matters most, amid playoff hockey. Taking it a step further statistically though, even though his numbers last season weren't terrible, he was definitely under a point per game, with 58 in 70 games played. And besides his usual turnover struggles, his shooting percentage was close to being half of what it was during the 2018-19 campaign, where Gaudreau had his best season yet, with 99 points in a full season's play. Given that the first line's mojo has been off as a whole more recently, as Gaudreau's line mate Sean Monahan has also had an off year, therefore number 13 isn't solely to blame, I'm sure, as Monahan also dropped from over a point per game in 2018-19 to drastically under, to 48 points in 70 games played. Therefore, even though Gaudreau's production contrasted much more, it wouldn't surprise me if Monahan is shipped out of Alberta as well if this first line falters yet again. Potentially amongst the players with the most to prove coming into next season, the forward who's become a decorated journeyman as of late will be suiting up for his 5th team represented in around 3 years' time. The lengthy journey came shortly after Galchenyuk had his best season statistically with Montreal during the 2017-18 campaign, but after making his way to the desert, whether it be confidence issues, finding the right fit or system, Galley's play has declined dramatically since. And really, in his defense last season, he didn't have adequate time, in my opinion, to get acclimated on the 2 teams that he was on, due to the shortened schedule and awkwardness of the season structure. For instance, the last team the forward repped in Minnesota, he was only able to do so for 14 games last season, but still managed 7 points regardless. Even still, Ottawa saw promise and potential in the previous 30-goal scorer, but since he's only on a 1-year deal, Galchenyuk is going to have to prove himself on ice if he wants to remain with the team and potentially in the league, unfortunately, at all. But the Senators respectfully are going to be wanting to prove themselves as well next season after finishing 2nd from the bottom, so the mindset will definitely be mutual in that regard. While many, including myself, are relieved that Jack Johnson is no longer in the Steel City, I just need to say one thing quickly. My critiquing of Johnson is never personal, as I'm sure he's a great guy. But as far as his play on the ice surface is concerned, as a Pens fan, I say he's the Blue Shirts' problem now. Anyways, definitely another player here who could be fighting to remain in the league next season, as Johnson, whose last contract was bought out midway through by Pittsburgh, will be joining the Rangers squad most likely with a chip on his shoulder. And similarly to Galchenyuk, the defenseman is also on a short-term 1-year deal as well. Therefore, the pressure for the Michigan native to perform is going to be at an all-time high most likely. After only mustering up 3 goals in 67 games played last season, Johnson, who's currently paired up with up-and-coming superstar Tony DeAngelo, is going to be seeking redemption here shortly in the Big Apple. Taken by Philly, Ghost Bear was thought to have been a dark horse draftee, coming in from the 3rd round. And at the start of his career, the defenseman seemed to fit in perfectly with the Flyers, as he was not only able to notch 46 points in 64 games played during his rookie campaign, but was also able to finish 2nd in the Calder race in 2016. But Ghost didn't slow down from there, and set a career high with an impressive 65 points scored from the back end in his 3rd season. Unfortunately, Gostismer's play from there began to digress, and to compensate with that, management not only took him off the first pairing, but scratched him from the lineup on multiple occasions. The defenseman was even sent down to the minors for a pair of games last season in hopes that he'd find his game again. But upon entering the bubble with his team, it seemed that number 53 had lost the trust of head coach Alain Vigneault and was only allowed to suit up for a handful of the 16 playoff contests that the Flyers took part in. Therefore, coming into training camp for the 2021 season, Gostismer is going to be more determined than ever to potentially outdo his lackluster performance last season statistically, as he only was able to notch 12 points after 42 games played. But if he's unable to impress one last time, the longtime Flyer could very well find himself moved elsewhere.